Hey guys, welcome back to Cidery From Scratch. We are filming another episode of our nightcap series. So we're super excited to taste test this cider for you guys and answer a few questions.
Today we have Virtue Ciders Brut. So obviously Brut meaning it's going to be very dry. It's another term for very, very dry.
Yes, like a champagne. You know, I think there's a Brut style champagne. You can get sweet kind and then you can get Brut, which is dry.
It says on here that it's made from hand-picked apples, proper farmhouse cider blended with barrel-aged cider. Very nice.
That's cool.
I like the design as well.
And that's made, we've been to that one. That's from Michigan, right?
Yep, Fennville, Michigan. We've been there on a very cold, windy day.
David doesn't want to have to say it, but he was the coldest out of all of us, right?
Hey, you know what? It takes time to cold weather condition.
Yeah.
It's very, very clear.
And I like the fizz.
Lots of effervescence in there. Shall we taste?
Yes.
Can we smell first?
Yes. Typically you should.
A lot of tartness. I can smell tart.
I can smell like apples.
Apples.
Yeah.
Smells good.
I already tasted it. Sorry.
It's very good.
It's very crisp.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that it's cold, but the bubbles and the tartness to me is very crisp.
It's not nearly as tart as I thought it was going to be based off the smell. It's very good. It's very good. I didn't think I was going to like this cider, but I think I like it a lot.
6.7%.
It leaves that extra dryness feeling in your mouth.
Sometimes that makes you
But not
salivate a little bit.
Yep.
I don't know if you, it's
Yeah,
not bad.
definitely.
It's not like too much, but it makes you salivate a little bit.
It's not too sour, not too tart. It doesn't have too bad of a sharp aftertaste. Sometimes with a dry cider, you'll get that sharp aftertaste.
Yeah.
It's almost like the perfect amount.
That's kind of what I mean about crisp. Like there's nothing, it just like goes down, it's easy, you know, nothing hanging out.
How much alcohol is in this?
6.7.
6.7%? It's dangerous. It's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm trying to think of those of you who might like it or might not. I think that like having a taste for dry cider is a little bit less common. And this is probably on a scale very dry. So if you're not sure, maybe don't start with this one. It's still it's very good.
I like it because it reminds me of a very dry wine.
Yeah.
With bubbles. And I like carbonated beverages. So I really, really like this.
Yeah, sometimes, at least the way that I drink cider, I'm more dry and crisp in the summers and then sweet in the winter. So that's kind of like beer with me too. Like light beer and like crisp goes down easy. So I could drink this in the summer because it's like refreshing. It's like cold, the bubbles are there, and there's not a ton happening when you're done, like in your mouth. So I can envision myself drinking this in the summertime. Yeah.
It's very good.
Yep.
I could drink it all year round, but that's just me.
Yeah.
As I almost drank it. Should we get to the questions?
Sure.
All right. As you all know, part of this is us tasting cider, and then the second half, while we're tasting that cider, we're going to answer some questions for you guys. Today's first question is, why do you like the homesteading lifestyle? Rachel?
Okay, I can start this one. Yeah, I think pretty recently we've put out a video about homesteading, and it's really just a hobby right now, trying to spend time outdoors and with each other and working with our hands. But ultimately, you know, I think we want to do this in the future of having our own land and kind of not necessarily having homesteading just for a hobby, but like out of necessity. Some of the things that I like about homesteading is that it gets you outside, it gets you working with your hands. I've never really shied away from like work ethic, or working with my hands. You guys probably see my videos and I'm lifting the smaller logs, but I'm not purposefully doing that. What I mean by that is like, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I like being outside. I like being in nature. A few other things I think about when I think about homesteading, just for me, you know, I think about the animals. I want to have like a goat and some chickens, and, you know, I like the idea of waking up early and having something kind of count on you, and having like chores where you have to like do your 6 or 7 chores before the sun comes up. Like, that's an okay thing. I think I've mentioned before, but I'm normally a morning person. I like that kind of stuff. So I like the idea of waking up and feeding the chickens and using their eggs and that kind of thing. So a lot of mine is like, I guess, nature, like being outside and having animals. But I do really like the idea of burning your own wood, and like seeing the different stages, going to the forest, getting the wood, then splitting the wood, then burning the wood. You know, I like that as well.
The reward from
Hard
it
work.
heating you during the cutting and processing, as well as the burning stage.
Yeah, heat you twice. What about you for that one?
I want cows. I want cattle. So
Yeah,
those will go good with
think
your
we'll have to
chickens and your goats, maybe.
Cows kind of scare me
Hopefully.
because they're too big, but we'll see.
We only need, a couple, 5.
Yeah.
5.
Well, to eat them, right? You want to butcher them, not like dairy cows.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a difference. Yeah.
Exactly. Also, with homesteading, we talked about being self-sufficient and providing our own food and energy for 70% ultimately. The goal being that 70% mark. So whenever we're able to find our own land and have our house and our homestead, the goal would be to provide 70% of our lifestyle, whether that's heat or food, from the things that are on the property. That's a big thing for me.
Yep.
I want to be self-sufficient.
Even we've talked, I mean, this is a long time in the future, but we talked about like solar power and water power and wind power and that kind of stuff.
Got to diversify.
Yep.
And the other thing is, I like hard work too. Unfortunately, I started with the hardest work, ditch digging, as my dad will always say. He made me dig all the ditches and all the trenches, so messing with wood and stuff like that is now fun for me, and it's just a hobby that we do in the free time.
Yep. Okay, second question. Why tall spindle apple trees? Why did we choose that kind of tree for the orchard?
That's a good question. They have 2 features for us. The first one being the eye appeal. We're going to have them in rows on the property leading up to the cidery.
Yep.
And as you're driving in, you'll see them on your left and on your right. They are very identical to a vineyard, the wine grapes.
Yep.
There's trellises, just like the vineyard grapes, and you have your trees all along those wires strapped to them, and they grow anywhere from 8 to 10 feet tall.
Yeah, it's just a different look. When you think about an apple tree, most people think about like the really, I wonder if it's on here. No, it's not. But the really big, round, takes up a ton of space, huge tree, which is good, but it's just a different style that we're looking for, a different look. These are going to be, you can walk up and down. They're going to be more at your own height, kind of. They're going to be like tall, growing up this way instead of out. But yeah, it's just a cool look. You've probably driven by them thinking they're wine grapes, because if they're young and they don't have a ton of fruit, they look just like that.
Yep, they do. The other thing is the early maturity. They start producing in 3 years, and they reach max maturity at 5 years.
Because doesn't like a big tree take, 10 years or something?
It could take up to 10 years for a normal sized apple tree to start fruiting.
They say you plant an orchard for your kids.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That is the term.
Yep.
And then the other thing being along those lines is we'll be able to house upwards of 5,000 apple trees on the property. You can get just over 1,000, maybe a little bit more depending on your rows and such.
Yep.
Per acre. So with us having 4 acres, our goal is to have upwards of 5,000 trees on those acres.
And they still have a really high yield. Just because they're a smaller tree doesn't mean that they have any less apples than a normal, what are those called? A normal,
Standard tree.
yeah, not like
Heirloom.
a dwarf or, something like that.
Standard, I think.
Yeah. No less apples, which is good.
We're looking at 1,000 bushels per acre, essentially.
Yep.
That's what you'd be getting.
Cool. Third question for the day, kind of funny because we're trying to dry cider. We didn't do this on purpose. The question for us to answer is, what makes a cider dry?
That's a really good question. So when a cider starts, it has no alcohol in it.
Yep.
And the yeast, whether it's wild or something you introduce, eats all the sugar that's in that cider. And it eats it until either the yeast dies, goes dormant, or there's no sugar left. So in a dry cider like this, basically the yeast ate all the sugar until there was none left, and then you have your dry cider, and there is zero residual sugar.
Yeah, a lot of times, or a few places at least, especially up here, they'll actually tell you the residual sugar. It's a decimal point, I think.
Usually a percentage, I think.
Yeah, okay. They'll tell you, and so, 2% is very sweet, and like 0.2% would be very dry. Mm-hmm. So sometimes they tell you. This one doesn't, but yeah, it's all about just the sugars in your cider and how much the yeast ate them all up or left some, while you were bottling.
Right.
So.
Do you think you have time for a bonus question?
I think we do. I don't know what time it is, but I think we do. I mean, how much cider have we had?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't even been
I know.
drinking.
So let's take an intermission.
Can I have some more?
Yes, and then we can do our bonus question.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Over pour. You can be my bartender anytime. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, bonus question. What are you working on right now?
That's a loaded question, David.
Thank you.
We've probably got 7 things we're working on right now. I'll start, and then you can have to help me and narrow it down.
Make sure we get everything.
Yeah. So for Cidery From Scratch, our YouTube channel, obviously we're working on videos. We're trying to plan out the year, knowing all the busy things we're going to have coming up, trying to come up with different series. I'm excited about the different series because not only different people can come to our channel and we can share about different aspects in our life, right? Like I'm excited about homesteading in comparison to the cider and nightcap and that kind of thing. So I'm excited about that, but we're doing videos every week. And so that takes up a lot of our time. Going along with that, we try to be outside once a week and do the homesteading stuff, whether on camera or not. Like last week we didn't film it, but we were out there. Yep. So usually we try to pick the warmest day and try to get out there even in the wintertime.
It's both fun and exercise.
Yeah, actually that's good because then I don't have to exercise. It's actually one of my favorite days of the week because I don't have to. No Me Tours is about to kick off and be official in April, so April 1st, so just a few months away. So we're trying to tie that up, try to do some loose ends, insurance, and that kind of thing. I need to practice driving the bus.
Me too.
Yeah. But, so No Me Tours. You want to talk about like the cider and the orchard?
Yeah.
And
we're working on our 13th batch of homebrew cider right now. We just bottled it the other day, and hopefully we'll be able to taste it in 3 to 4 weeks. We got plans for upwards of, 10, 15, 20 more of those throughout the year.
We did 35 bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Of batch 13.
Yep.
And then for the orchard, we have plans to potentially purchase trees here soon, price out all the lumber and all the supplies we'll need to start building the infrastructure in the early spring. So trellis systems, irrigation lines, deer fencing, all that good stuff. So big things happening.
Yeah, we're trying not to waste any time. We've got the land now. It's obviously winter, so we're trying to plan for as soon as the ground thaws, like what can we do? So it's either going to include trees or it's not. We're going to do our best to do that, but at least we're going to do the infrastructure and the fencing and trellises and stuff like that to get ready for it.
And CiderCon's right around the corner.
Yeah.
We're going to try to record a video every day for CiderCon to share with you what it is and how much fun it is.
Yeah,
So that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous because I think they're going to be like way up here and I'm down here, but that's okay. I'm going to learn a ton.
We got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And this is only our first year. We're going to go every year.
Yeah.
If we can, if we have time.
Yeah. What else? We're working on grants, potentially applying for federal grants, just to help fund some of these big things like the orchard. So we're going to start working on that paperwork and getting everything around to try to, secure some federal grants. Anything else I'm missing?
SBA loans.
Yeah.
Work on those for the cidery itself, permits, all that good stuff. Make sure we can build and get going on everything.
Yep. Cool. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully we answered your questions. If we didn't or we made things more confusing, please let us know. Put it in the comments. We'll do our best to either answer it on the next one or, right there in the comments as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that and our review of the cider. Once again, this was a Virtue Cider Brut, and it was very good.
Make sure to leave a comment if you have any questions. We need more questions for our next episode of the Nightcap series, so we'd love to feature your comments or questions in those episodes.
Yep, we did that this time. It was fun.
And I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
No? Thank you guys for tuning in as always and for your support. And we'll catch you in the next video.
And remember, always follow your dreams.
Cheers.
Cheers.